Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS Slate Breakdown for Friday, July 18th. We are back. The All-Star break is over and we got a big slate to go over today. I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann. Come join us at LineStar, $39.99 per month. Gets you access to all we do. The props, the DFS, best ball. You get all one low price. Now, let's jump in. Let's see what we got. We're not going to go over the lineups from yesterday, as the last game was the All-Star game. And then going back a week ago just seems kind of too far for me to want to look at. So let's get right into it. Starting on DraftKings, our high-owned pitcher is Tyler Glasnow. 8K, 23% owned. Ownership has changed quite a bit since I was starting to do my review because Glasnow was much lower on this list, but I think he should be one of the highest owned guys today. He's only 8K, went 85 pitches last time out, is a guy that has a 3.56 FIP over his last 20 starts and a 31% K rate. His StatCast data was great for his first time out, and I don't mind going back to it. Now, the Brewers can definitely hit, so it's not like it's a soft matchup here, but I love the upside, and Glasnow has had a history of shutting them down. However, it is only 40 plate attempts. All in all, 21.7% combined K rate. I think this number is a little bit low just because of his last five starts data, but he has faced, good offenses through all five. Now, his last time out, his first appearance since coming off IL was against Milwaukee, and he went 5 innings, had 5 Ks, suffered from being a little bit wild with 3 walks. If he can straighten that out, goes about 90 pitches or a little over, he can definitely get 6 innings. There's definitely, 7, 8 plus K upside in this spot for him. I don't mind some Tyler Glasnow at 8K. Next, we got Luis Castillo, 8,500, 20% owned. Now, Glasnow is cheaper and has more K upside than Castillo, and Castillo's 5K or 500 more. I would prefer Glasnow. Now, I don't mind Castillo. Guy's been pitching pretty well lately. 3.77 FIP over the last 5, 3.91 over the last 20. The issue with me is the K rate isn't that high, and he's going against a team that doesn't strike out very much. So we're looking at a situation where he may not have a whole ton of Ks. However, he is averaging 48% more fantasy points at home, and that usually is due to the strikeouts. He can get a few more strikeouts. Doesn't give up as many runs, maybe goes an inning or 2 extra at home. I think it's an interesting spot, but I'm not going to go out of my way to get a ton of him. I do like him though, and will be getting some for sure. Sean Manaea, 7K, 19% owned. I think he is going over owned here. He only went 65 pitches last time out. Now, that was only a week ago. He pitched the last day of the first half of ball. I don't think he magically goes up to 85, 90 pitches. I think he's probably around 80, maybe low 80s max. He's a very good pitcher, but I just can't really get there on a big slate. I think that if the slate was smaller, maybe I'd get a little bit. I just can't do it. I just don't think the ceiling outcome is there for him, and we're trying to win, so I'm probably not going to have much of him. Next, we got Slade Cicioni, 7,800, 16% owned versus the A's. Guy has been dealing over the short term, 3.74 FIP, 23% K rate. StatCast data is a little less than desirable, but it is a decent spot. A's strike out a lot. Now, they hit the ball very, very hard, 194 ISO over the last 20, but strike out at 28% and a low WOBA, low average. If he can keep guys on base, this becomes a very interesting spot with him at home versus the A's. Now, it's all about if he can keep people off the base paths or not, though. He can get a little wild. He has 3 walks per 9 over the last 5, and don't love that aspect of it. But at 7,800, you could do a little worse than getting some Slade. I do think 16% owned might be a little high for him, but I'm fine getting some. Next, we got Spencer Strider, 9K, 17-point projection. He does have the highest consensus projection at almost 20. I do think he ends up coming in decent ownership. Now, he is in a tough spot versus the Yankees, but this is Strider. When Strider is on against any team in the league, he can come out and get, 10, 12 Ks. He only has 17 plate attempts against these Yankees, but he does have a 47% K rate versus them. I think is an interesting spot. I don't mind a little bit, but I'm not going to go super, super hard on him. 9K is too cheap for this guy, though. He should be, 10 plus. And now that he's going 100 pitches, he's super interesting. And the ceiling for him is higher than anybody on this slate. So I'm definitely going to get some. Next, we got Taj Bradley, 7.2K, 12% owned. Look, Bradley is too cheap. He is a better pitcher than 7.2K, but this BVP data is scary. 70 plate attempts. They're hitting 348, have 6 home runs, 333 ISO, 21% K rate. I'm a little scared to click that name with this type of BVP. Now, he's been very good. And we know there's big upside. So I want to get a little. But I only want to get a little. It's a little too scary for me to go above the field on ownership for him. But the ceiling does make it interesting. I'm absolutely going to have some Baltimore stacks as well, though. Next, Brandon Walter, 4.3 FIP over his last 20, 4.67 over his last 5. K rate's fine. Statcast data is meh. Statcast is good, sorry. Low fly balls, a lot of ground balls, ton of soft contact, not much hard contact. He is versus Seattle. He's going to have to limit that hard contact. They can hit the bombs, but all in all, pitcher-friendly park. I don't love Bradley Walter. If you want to get a little bit, that's fine. Seattle can strike out, and if he limits guys on base, there's upside. Chris Bassett, 8,100. I know, I talk about him every single time he pitches. When he's high-owned, I'm like, hey, he's volatile. He can fail. Don't love it. When he's going low-owned, I'm like, hey, there's big-time upside here. And it's true. When he's on, he gets his strikeouts. He gets his 7, 8, 9 Ks. He also works 6, 7 innings into the game. He's way better at home. 52.8% more fantasy points at home. He is a guy that I'm going to keep clicking. He's in an okay spot here versus the Giants, who went into the break struggling a little bit. Maybe the time off was good for them. But all in all, I'm going to have some Bassett at home. He's just better at home, and there's big time upside at 8,100. He can definitely get you into the mid 20s, and at that price, that's good enough for me. Next, we got Seth Lugo, 9,300, 16-point projection, 11% owned versus the Miami Marlins. I think he's a super interesting play. Now, I do like him on FanDuel better, just because you have that quality start bonus too, which is a very big thing for him. But he's been dealing lately. 3.19 FIP over his last 5 with a 30% K rate. I cannot believe I'm saying that about Lugo, but he has been dialed in. If that continues now versus a Miami team that's not that good, I love it. Now, Miami has been hitting lately. Stowers, Norby, Edwards, Sanchez, the slew of the guys have been swinging that bat well, so it's not like it's a cake matchup like it would seem it should be versus the Marlins. 7.5 game total, though, and KC our favorite, so it is an interesting spot. I'm going to have some. Next pivot I got to talk about is a very tough click, but he's only 6K. Sandy Alcantara, 4.63 FIP over his last 20, 4.4 over the last 5. He has had some real bad luck. 6.77 ERA over the last 20, 7.39 over the last 5, 16% K rate. Can he get you into the high teens or 20? Absolutely. And we only have a 7.5 game total. Miami is only slight underdogs here. They project a low-scoring game here. I think there's absolutely the path to Alcantara having a good game. He is going to have missed bats, though. He's allowing 41% hard contact, and you don't want that type of number against the Royals. They have a couple big bats that can really make you pay. And he is averaging 65% more fantasy points at home. So if there is a time you want to play him, it is at home. He is super cheap. It's a rough one, but I don't mind it. If you want to pay up for bats, you can get him and pay up at pitcher and still be able to pay up for bats. Next pivot, the last one I want to talk about, Nick Lodolo versus the Mets. 4.09 FIP over his last 20, 22% K rate. The thing, though, is that when he gets it going, similar to Bassett, he can put those Ks together and he works efficiently and gets deeper into these games. I think it's an interesting spot versus the Mets team that has not been able to hit lefties. Not only have they not been able to hit lefties, Lodolo's also averaging 62% more fantasy points while away. Doesn't look like it's a good spot on paper, but I actually think it's an interesting one. Over the last 150 games, 236 average for the Mets versus lefties, 160 ISO, so they can hit the ball hard, but only a 312 WOBA and a 22% K rate, and they have been worse in every single metric over the last 20 games. I'm interested in Lodolo. Next, let's get over to FanDuel, and let's check out what we got with pitcher-wise. Also should be known that it's not Max Fried. It was expected, but it's going to be Ian Hamilton opening and then going with somebody long relief over there. So Strider, 35% owned, 10.2K. He is your high-owned pitcher on FanDuel. He's more expensive over here. The upside is greater with him than anybody else, but it is a tough click for me against the Yankees. Strider, while he has had glimpses of himself, hasn't been totally himself. He's been giving up 3 earned runs per game. At 10.2K, the highest priced pitcher on the slate by, a decent margin, I have some trepidation in wanting to click that name. I'm going to get some, but I think 34% owned might be a bit high. Lugo at 9.7. Probably rather just go Strider there. Bradley at 8.5. Scary click, but the upside's there. Glasnow, 9.6. Super interested there. We haven't projected higher than Strider and going way less owned. Then you come down here. We absolutely love Castillo. I'm fine getting some, especially at only 6% ownership. Bassett, super interesting to me. We like Walter. You could go there if you want. I don't love it, but the upside is there. And then Nick Lodolo, all the way down here. 9,200, 32-point projection. He's right around, projection-wise, the top guys and cheap. I like him. I like Castillo. Think they're interesting plays today. Think you can get a little different on FanDuel with pitcher. You don't have to go Strider. Now, let's get over to some stacks before we can round this out and see what we got. Our high-owned stack, big surprise, it's Minnesota. By far the best spot. It's in Colorado. Decent summer temps here. Going against Freebomb. Freebomb does have a 3.83 FIP over his last 5, though, so he's been pitching a little bit better. But it's in Colorado, and he can get absolutely crushed there. I'm fine going with some Freebomb. Next, our highest projected. We got Minnesota. We got the Yankees in there versus Strider. Likely due to the fact that Strider can give up a couple home runs. The Yankees have some guys that have been hot. Strider hasn't been quite himself. I don't love the Yankee stack, but I'm absolutely going to get some, especially on FanDuel for the leverage. Arizona's popping up against Palante. I don't mind that spot as well. Good hitter-friendly park. Don't mind either side of that stack. The St. Louis one's a little interesting because PAF can get blown up as well. Now, highest value action. We got the Royals versus Alcantara. I think that makes a ton of sense. Alcantara's been getting blown up. The ERA is super elevated. The only issue is that he's been better at home. I don't want to say good, just better. KC's interesting. Seattle versus Walter. I'm absolutely fine getting some Seattle. Milwaukee versus Glass now. He has only had one game back, so can he still be a little rusty? Yes, probably. St. Louis versus Paft. I like it. Gonna get some. And our high ceiling plays, we got Yankees, Seattle, and Texas. Texas versus Reese Olson, I think is super interesting. Texas coming into the break was swinging the bat very, very well. Behind Olson isn't the greatest bullpen. If they can get to him, it becomes interesting. Yankees we covered. Seattle we covered. Highest leverage play, Texas. Toronto. Love the play for Toronto versus Verlander. They can give it up. Verlander is not as good as he used to be. And people don't want to click Toronto when they see Verlander for some reason. Detroit versus Corbin. Detroit's been poor versus lefties, so I think there is some appeal to Corbin. I just don't love playing Corbin, but there is definitely appeal. Tampa Bay versus Charlie Morton. Morton's been great lately, but he can get blown up, so there's some interest there. I just won't go overboard on him. If we click the highest team tabs, 6.1 highest implied total for Minnesota. Colorado is at 4.9 next. So 1.2 difference between first and second. I think that makes a lot of sense today. I think Minnesota is clearly the top stack of the day. Not only is Freebomb not that good, behind him's a poor bullpen. Minnesota has a ton of bats that can hit. I don't mind them. Colorado versus Paddock. Paddock has actually done very well in Colorado, so it's not as good of a click as you would think, but Paddock can get blown up. We've seen it time and time again. Colorado is definitely interesting. I like the Dodgers versus Prester, Arizona at 4.7, Tampa at 4.6, Toronto at 4.6. All of these ones are in play. And Baltimore, 4.4 versus Bradley in a small, minor league park. Absolutely love it with that BVP data. I think Bradley is probably as boom bust as you get on this slate. If we go down, KC, super interesting. Alcantara just getting blown up. And then I wanted to shout out San Francisco versus Bassett. Now, bullpen behind Bassett's pretty good. But over the last 5, he's given it up a little bit, and we know he's a little boom bust. I'm not going to go super hard on San Fran, but I'm going to get a little bit of them, as I just like to play both sides of Bassett almost any time he plays. Kind of similar to Lucas Giolito, who's actually about to start pitching, as we are going to get baseball real soon here. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us today. It's going to be hard to get away from Minnesota. I'm going to play some, but as always, we got to get different. We got an 11-game slate, a lot of different ways to go. You all have a good one. We will be back on Monday with more ball. Talk to you later. Peace.